My question is, how do we fix it? And the question I suppose is sacking Ten Hag the answer here? Because if I listen to what George said, let me premise the question. Let me premise the question.
Yes,
I'm not disagreeing with what George is saying. I'm very happy. I'm at a point where I'm happy just to go, you're right, George. That's fine. I'm happy to say, Mo, you're right. I don't want to argue any of that. That's what I'm trying to say here. I know what rivals want. They want me to say the manager's shit. So I'm just going to sit in that world. I'm conceding. Ten Hag is dog shit. He's a crap manager. He's fouled at the club. I'm just let's sit in your world. My question is sacking him going to make Man United better? If so, how do we get it right? 7th time lucky. Talk to me, boys.
No, I have the answer. I have the answer for this. I have the answer for this. I'm sorry. Okay. I have the answer. The answer is a simple question. Do you believe if Jurgen Klopp, I'm saying it, Ange Postecoglou, Pep Guardiola, even the guy that manages Paris Saint-Germain now, the people that have a certain style of play, manage Man United tomorrow, you will have a certain way of playing. And some players will not do it well. And people will say that these players are not doing, we need a better player in that position to do that job well, but they will have a job. Do you believe that as a Man United fan, do you believe that you will have a style of play with these managers that have a style of play? It's a yes or no question.
I believe our style of play would improve. Yes.
Do you think after that, the manager can say, yes, I have this style of play. I need a better player than this guy. For example, I need a better player to move the ball in the middle of the pitch than this guy or that guy. I need a better center back. The problem now is that if he asks for a player, what is the style of play? That's the problem. Like Ange Postecoglou can come tomorrow and say, I need a better striker because I have this style of play and that striker doesn't suit me. I need a better winger. I need a better right back.
Yep.
Also, De Zerbi can say the same. Pep can say the same, which he did with Claudio Bravo. Jurgen Klopp can say the same.
Okay.
That's the answer.
So again, I hear that. Go back. If people go back and watch shows where I praised Ten Hag last year, I've said it in many of them. Some of you may remember, and my viewers definitely do. As much as I think he can improve us, I never believed that Ten Hag could get us back to the top and stay there consistently with these owners. Equally, my fervent belief is if Pep comes in as our manager with Klopp as his assistant, with Ange Postecoglou putting down the cones, I still do not believe that Man United will get back to their best with the ownership. And you just said it there, because 5 managers running, 6 managers running, what you just said there about Claudio Bravo doesn't exist at Man United. Yes, we've spent a lot of money, but you have to delve into it deeper. We are always playing catch up with holes. Everyone's allowed to buy duds. All of our managers have bought duds. It's whether or not you're allowed to replace them and how quickly you're allowed to replace them. And Man United, typically, we've done this to so many of our managers. They told Jose Mourinho, if we take it away from Ten Hag, because everybody gets a motive about the current manager, he bought Bailly and he bought Lindelof, but he wanted one more centre-back. And the owners told him, no, you've already had 2. You can have Fred instead, who's a midfielder. And the manager's like, I don't want that. I need this. And he didn't get what he wanted. And I think for me, that's my issue here. So I'm just at a point where I can hear all the criticism about Ten Hag, and I don't necessarily disagree with all of it. I'm not even bothered about it. My view is just everybody talking like sack the manager, Man United get better. I honestly feel like I'm watching Groundhog Day, the movie, over and over and over and over again, and people are expecting it to go differently because nothing underlying is changing. And that's my issue here. And it's not a dig. Your analysis is fine, but my question is, I don't know anymore as a Man United fan how my club can actually improve. So I said the same with Ollie. I said the same with Jose. And have hope. You were in studios with me these years ago. I said the same thing with LVG, Jose, and Ollie. Sack them, fine. I agree with you. But will we get better after sacking them? Everybody each time told me yes. And we're back here fucking again saying the same thing.
No. See, here's the thing. This is what I even said to guys. So when I was doing like my show, a United fan was like, sack Ten Hag, he's bad, sack Ten Hag, bring in Scaloni and bring in Zidane. I was saying to him that Scaloni and Zidane, bless his soul, one of the greatest players of all time. That was lightning in a bottle with Real Madrid. Scaloni is not a great manager. He's just the right man for the right job at the right time for Argentina. Both of these guys, I don't feel, are as good managers as Ten Hag. And here's my issue. You have to decide, United, what do you want? If you want the Abramovich approach, sack Ten Hag, bring a manager, tell him that, can you win with these players? then they go. But if you don't want the Abramovich approach, ride this out. Ride this out. We are all living and trying to cope in the world of Pep Guardiola. And what you do with Ten Hag is, which is what Mo says is, create a system, create a philosophy, and work towards it. Any players you get and everything, because my issue with Ten Hag, this is what I think with Ten Hag, I don't know whether you agree. I feel the weight of Man United is influencing Ten Hag. I feel Ten Hag is like, oh gosh, it's Man United. All these guys have failed. And these guys have been searching for somebody to at least step up to the level of
Can I tell you something? Can I tell you something about the pressure at Man United? And people can take this as seriously or unseriously as they want. My brother's a Leyton Orient fan. He went away to watch them play Peterborough at the weekend. And this used to happen when I was a kid, when I used to go to Leyton Orient, because we used to have free season tickets at my school. This was at Peterborough. By the way, the manager at Peterborough is Fergie's son. When it was the over the tannoy at half-time and at full-time that Man United had lost, cheers. My brother's an Orient fan. Is that every time, that wherever he is in the country, if Arsenal were losing, if City are losing, if Liverpool are losing, crowd barely bats an eyelid. If Man United are losing, everybody cheers. That weight of pressure exists. It is genuine. It is real. I've got a question for Rory. A year or so into his job at Arsenal, Arteta wasn't playing the style of football that you are now. It took a good couple of years for it to really come through. Do you think Man United fans and the club should get behind the manager and ride through these rough periods? Or do you agree with what the likes of George are saying, that he really isn't that good, his talent idea is bad, Mo's saying there's no style of play and we should look to move him on? How do you see it as someone that rarely in the modern era has stuck with the manager through thick and thin?
Yeah, I think I'd base it on having 2 summer windows. So after 2 summer windows, Arteta then began to move into the sort of football that we see now. When he started, we were playing a back 5 with Aubameyang on the counter, and that was it. And we won an FA Cup, but it didn't do us much in the league. And you kind of started like that last season with a really deep, low block, and it worked and you got top 4, but you were never going to progress playing that style of football. The worry is every signing that Arteta made, especially the big ones, was forward thinking to what the style of play we have is now. It was like he was building all of the bits of a puzzle to what we've ended up with. And with Ten Hag, I don't see that. And Casemiro is a great example. I don't think Casemiro can play the system and the style that Ten Hag wants to play. But he spent a lot of money on him last summer. And for one season, that's not good enough. And his talent ID is a problem. I do think it is. I also look at, Højlund works, but I don't think he works with Rashford. I think Rashford's a real problem in that United side because he is not a creator. He's far too selfish. And again, I think if that's Arteta, Rashford would have already gone in the same way that Aubameyang did because he didn't work for what we wanted to do. And I think the fundamental biggest issue is Ten Hag doesn't take any personal responsibility. And in a dressing room that we already know can turn on a manager like that, I think it's going to become a massive, massive issue because he's turned on Sancho, Ronaldo for whatever reasons, fair enough. But if he doesn't start coming out and defending the squad and taking that responsibility, I think that's going to be a problem. I look at after Brighton, when he was asked if that system worked, and he said it absolutely worked for 20 minutes, and then not acknowledging the fact that it took De Zerbi and Brighton 20 minutes to figure out that diamond and then completely outplay it. I just think, I think that lack of responsibility, that lack of accountability is going to be the thing that ultimately is his downfall.
I think his issue now, something that I think he got a lot of praise for last season was the handling of the Ronaldo situation. Biggest name in the dressing room, causing a real sort of stir, and he managed that perfectly. And that was the thing that I think United fans were the most happy with, the fact that the manager actually stood up to it and didn't wilt to player power. And now he's not wilting to player power, but he's not having the same power. Sancho is starting to have a little bit more of an influence. There's starting to be memes of, maybe Sancho's onto something, maybe something's right there. I think for United, the biggest issue is, I thought this summer was... So last year was Erik Ten Hag's come in. He's got a couple of players that he wants, but the squad isn't great. He's playing the football that wins, but that's not what he wants to do. Next summer, when he gets his players in, the next season is where he's going to kick on, and you'll start seeing the style of play. and they brought in Onana, and you brought in Mount, and everyone's going, there you go. You've got your pivot player. You've got your goalkeeper who can play out the back now. And the system just looks more broken than ever. It's like you've got your defence wants to be front-footed and your attack's trying to play on the counter-attack, even though it's in a possession-based team, and none of it makes sense. You realistically want an attacking midfielder who's going to drop in, retain the ball, recycle it, and that's not what Bruno Fernandes is. Fernandes is brilliant at the other way. For me, it just looks like United are battling with two identities in their starting 11. And when you're battling with two identities of your style of play in your starting 11, you end up having what you have now, which is the massive gaps in the midfield, in the heart of your team, where the two styles directly connect, is so wide open that any team can go through it. Any team, if they want, can go through that midfield. That then puts more pressure on your defence, and then that leads to more chances. It's what happened to us last season when the midfield got weaker. You actually strengthened your midfield, but because you don't have a style of play, it's gone to pot. And that's what Ten Hag needs to do now. I think what he needs to do now, he's done a year of trying to accommodate players. He now needs to go, I'm doing it my way. I'm picking players who fit my way. I don't care if I bought you last summer. I don't care if you've been here however many years. You play my way, because my way is how I will die on it. I will die on that sword. And you know what I think he needs to do? I think he needs to start playing the youngsters more. United is a club that's built on bringing and bedding in these youngsters. And yet I'm not seeing the likes of Palestri get any minutes, or any meaningful minutes, should I say. He should be getting longer games. Hannibal, when he came on against Brighton, a youngster, actually came in with a bit of fight. It sounds old-fashioned because it is, but that's what United need right now. They need to go back to basics at points. They need to trust what made them successful so long ago, because that is part of their culture.
Mm-hmm.
Just one quick thing, and then before
I just want to. Sorry. I want to say what there's an interesting report that's come out from the Muppeteers this afternoon, that it took so long for Amrabat to come in, partly because Amrabat was a player that the recruitment team didn't want, but it was a player that Ten Hag wanted. And again, this is one of those things that I look at as, well, if it doesn't work out, that's on the manager, because he is the one who's pushed for him. At the same time, though, if your manager and your recruitment team, and this has happened 5 times with 5 players now, they didn't want Lisandro Martinez, they wanted Pau Torres. The manager wanted Casemiro when they wanted to go and get, who's a French dude, Rabiot as an example. If your recruitment team and your manager are seeing things so differently, and it isn't just a name of player, it's players that I think are really different from one another, that there is also a problem. That's not taking anything away from the manager, because he is being given what he wants. But it also tells you that the way the club sees things and the way the manager sees things are not identical. And I can't imagine a world where De Zerbi or Pep Guardiola or Arteta or whoever it may be are in a situation where the board and the recruitment teams and the manager are so far away from each other in terms of the style of player that they want to recruit. I just think that for me is where there's a fundamental issue. And I got what Rory said as well about the manager, like sort of fran people under the bus and not taking accountability. Where I would defend Ten Hag on that, though, and this will infuriate the viewers, is again, I read what he says in its entirety, and there's a lot of we need to improve, we need to get better, we could have done this, we could have done that, this was good, this didn't quite work out. I do think we have to be careful as people to not just read the headline and the overarching factor, because he did say we were good for 20 minutes, but then he spoke about losing our shape, then he spoke about not showing enough character, then he spoke about how we need to get better in terms of maintaining the shape of our team when we go behind. So there's many things he said that for me is taking accountability. We weren't the best team, we made these mistakes. I would have more of an issue if he was saying them. They're an issue, because there was a manager not long ago that was asked why his team didn't do the basics, and he said that that's on my players. I'd rather you refer to them rather than me answer that. That would be a much worse thing for him to be saying. Would we agree?
Yeah, but I still think I get that it's definitely worse to be saying them rather than we. But when he's saying we lost our shape, he's saying the players lost their shape. When he's saying we weren't doing that, he's talking about the players. I think Arteta did it.
But Rory, I don't think that's weird, because Arteta was the guy. What they said to Arteta after you got beat by City, they were asked to explain why they didn't do the necessary basics in the first half, and Arteta said, "I prefer to give that to the players." It's not atypical. When I just googled like a couple of Arteta when on teams when you've lost, and he says the same things. We did this and we didn't do that. And I don't think Ten Hag saying we lost our shape is him throwing the players under the bus. I think that's over-analysing the situation, personally.
Maybe, and I agree. Arteta has definitely blamed individuals before. He's blamed the group before. But there have been times, especially when the team was under pressure and scrutiny in the press, where a couple of times he came out and was just like, "This is all on me." Yeah, he said something like, "My chest is here, hit me." He was like, "The players are doing everything they can," and I just think I've never seen Ten Hag do that, where he just comes out and is like, "This is all on me, leave them alone," kind of thing, and just give them a bit of a breather. And maybe that's the right thing to do. Maybe Arteta's wrong, but I just feel like so many managers have lost that dressing room, and so many of the players in that dressing room that hold a lot of that power, Maguire, Rashford, are still there. That I think I just feel like he may be setting himself up for quite a big fall.
I mean, for me,
that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think, look, Fergie is the issue here, and by that I mean this is that. No. But that sounds crazy. But let me explain. I think his success and how good he was and how influential he was, I think, is the issue. I'm one of those rare people. I might be the only person on earth who feels Moyes deserved a summer. But you came sixth. It was a panic. Oh, sack. I just felt that chill out, relax, give Moyes another summer just to try to stabilize this, because it is almost impossible to follow in the footsteps of one of the greatest managers of all time. So I think what United have to do is, look, stop trying to live up to the legacy of Fergie. Because I think for Arsenal's issue was, look, we didn't have the kind of success that United had. And we've never had a manager that had the success that Fergie had. So Arteta was given the time to build a team in your image and just try to create an ethos. I think for Ten Hag, again, I don't know what was said to him, but I do feel that everybody that has come in, it's always been like, how can we get back to the standards of United? How can we get back to Fergie's greatness? Whereas I think what needs to happen is build a team that plays football, build an ethos, create an ethos, stabilize that ethos, and then when you're not in year 2, year 3, year 4, now you have something. Look at where Arsenal and Arteta now. So I think the issue for Ten Hag is do what you're doing at Ajax. Get a recruitment team, call up Overmars, call up Van der Sar and say, look.
Well, you can't have Overmars. He's
I was going to say,
we don't need any more of that at Man United. I'm just putting it out
there.
No.
Basically, I think that's about enough of those allegations. Right. Yeah. So basically, I think, look, I think the best, if I was to advise United right now, is Ten Hag, get a recruitment team. Trust the recruitment team, because the key thing, anybody who's done business or done a business course, delegation is key. Delegation is the key to any successful business. Delegate. You can't be a jack of all trades. You have to be a master of specific things. This is my system, and get experts at scouting, experts at recruitment to recruit guys for the kind of idea that you want. That's how you succeed.